Hi, my name is Chantal Bossé, and I'm a Microsoft PowerPoint MVP in Canada. And today I'm going to talk to you about the top 10 mistakes that you should avoid to craft and deliver a memorable presentation or memorable speech at a conference. It's going to be a fast-paced presentation, but you have a handout on which you'll be able to have the main key points and some extra information to help you with. So I'll start with my number 10 in my list. If you have visual elements that look old, outdated, or of bad quality, that's going to affect the quality of your presentation. By bad visuals, remember those old clipboards that we had before. They look outdated. People have been using them for so many years that people are just kind of fed up about them. What you can do instead, you have a modern twist with some new icon types. You even have icons in the Office 365 that are pretty neat. You can recolor them, change also the way they look. And you also have those little, let's call them bubbly guys that have been used a lot. So if you try to use them, just think about it if your audience will still like them or not. Making a presentation look newer doesn't mean that you cannot use any icons or anything, but if they've been overused, it's going to affect the quality. Also, in my number 10, animated GIFs or GIFs, whatever you want to pronounce it, please don't use them as much because they do look outdated and everything that moves on your screen will just distract the audience for nothing. One thing I can say for those type of little animated elements, if you have some 3D effects, because sometimes now we have 3D animations, they can help, but just make sure that they will move for a short period of time instead of being moving on the screen like they are right now. Another thing, watermarked images. It's all in my number 10 because they all pertain to the bad quality of visuals. So anything watermark or bad resolution of your images, try to avoid that because it doesn't look professional and it will affect the quality of your presentation. Instead, go to some of the great image resources that you can find online. Well, the first one should be take your own photographs if you can. Even with your iPhone or smartphone, it will still be better than having some bad quality images. You have also images here that show the pixabay.com and morguefile.com databases. They give you access to great visuals that are free, copyright free also. And speaking of copyright free, if you use Bing or Google Images, go into the licensing elements so you will know that you can use the images or not, whether they are public domain or the other one I would suggest for conferences. Make sure you have a license that is free to modify, share, and use commercially so you don't get into any problems. Number 9 now, using bad fonts can also be a problem with your presentation. By bad fonts, let's just start by saying that you have two big font families, the serif font, all those little wiggly things that you see, the thin lines on the fonts, they tend to project in a less efficient way with projectors and whatever the type of room you have, especially in big rooms. So you're better off if you use sans serif fonts. Okay, some people will say, Chantal, Arial is kind of boring, but you know what? It's still a safe font and you can still use it without any problems when you change PCs or even Macs, whatever the type of computer you want to use. Number 8 now, color choices. If you want to make sure that people will get engaged with your presentation, try to use colors that will really work with your subject. To help you with that, you can go to the colormatters.com site and you can see the significance of some of the colors that will help you decide what will make sense for you. Although, let's just point out that you have some bad color choices you should avoid. What you see on the screen right now red and blue and the red and green mixes are really bad. First, for the eyesight, they just want to make your eyes green. And the other reason is you have between 7 and 20% of the population that just won't be able to see any text on the little slides that you have right now because they are colorblind. So think about that for your presentation. Might as well make sure 100% of your audience will be able to capture what you have on your slides. And color choices, another thing that's important to remember is that they will induce more often emotions. They will make people think and reflect a little bit more on your subject. So make sure you choose them appropriately and according to your subject. Number 7, bad contrast. As you can see right now, you can barely get a sense that you have the word text on the left box, and it's almost the same on the right box. So make sure that when you choose your colors for text and background that you have the biggest color difference for both, so they will show properly when you are projecting your content, especially in big venues and conferences. For your number 6, font size. Font size is a really big one because sometimes we tend to do our presentation on our computer. We say, oh, it's big enough and it seems to be all good. But you know what? Not all font sizes are equal. Let's just start. You see right now Arial and Verdana, they are the same size, but they don't really look the same size because the width between the letters is a little bit different. And if you look at the Arial 28 at the bottom, it might be okay on your computer screen, but it might be a big problem if you use it in a big venue because not everyone will be able to see it. What I urge you to do, go on my colleague's site. Dave Parody is another Microsoft PowerPoint MVP, and he devised some tables in which you can select the correct font size according to the type of projection that you have, whether it's 4:3 or 16:9, and the size of the room. It would be a very big favor to do to your audience. Number 5, overloaded slides. How many of you have seen such slides before? And sometimes we're even guilty of doing it ourselves. Don't make your audience work so hard trying to figure out where they have to look first and what's the story of your content. And to that effect, maybe you can remember that slide was printed in the New York Times or just on their online site. It was quite a few years ago. But it still speaks tons of millions of information at the same time, and no one can get a sense of what's going on. So don't do it with your slides. Number 4 right now, don't put all your script on your slides. Instead, try to reduce it to a minimum. Go to what is really important and remove everything else. There's no point in reading your slides to the people in the audience. If they can read, they cannot listen to you at the same time. Another big one, too many animations. It's not because an animation exists in your tool that you need to use it. Make sure that you choose wisely. And you know what? You can do away with just a basic fade and wipe for all your content and no one will be sad about it. They'll just have a better focus on your content instead of moving bits and pieces all over your presentation content. My number 2 mistake, common templates. They look nice. Microsoft and Keynote and many other tools, they provide some templates, but you know what? They grow old at one point. Even some new models that we have with Microsoft, they've been used more and more. So what will happen, your content won't stick out because it doesn't look like your corporate look. Even if you're just a contractor or a self-employed person, try to design your own look. You can start with a common template, but take time to change. Go in the masters, change the font sizes, change the colors, and put in some of the graphic elements that look like you. Then you will be able to stand out a little bit more instead of having the same look that almost everyone else can have. And to that effect, this is a totally different type of template, not appropriate for everyone, but that person was able to stand out wherever she was going because it was looking like her own corporate look. And now, my biggie number one, if you start your presentation in PowerPoint, Keynote, or any other tool, that is your number one mistake. Why? Because when you start in the tool, the first thing you see is clicking to put in some text. And by starting to work in the interface, what will happen, you'll be focusing on the look. Will this look good? Did I put the right color? Oh, is that the right size of shape? Or is my graphic big enough? Or should I change the colors again? Instead, start with pen and paper again. Put your ideas on cue cards, on Post-its, on a whiteboard. Work with whatever you have. You even have some books now for presentations. Think about the paper napkin. Whatever else that is not always technology, then you will have a better sense of how you can order and structure your talk. And if that's what you do, you'll get way better results because you'll be able to really concentrate on what is your main message, what's the story you want to tell. And one big question I ask my clients, if you want to have 3 main elements people remember at the end of your talk, what would they be? If you question yourself about those 3 elements first, then you'll be able to always make sure that your content will help people remember those 3 elements you want as takeaways. And to help you with this, I have my list of 8 questions to help you plan. If you go through them, it will help you really focus on what will be important. And why do I have questions for type of environment and stuff like that? Well, it's just, will it be a big venue? How will be the lighting? And maybe you already have some content that is available. So go through the list and really focus on what will help you give out a better message. And you know what? A memorable presentation is never about you. So it's really not about you. It's about your audience's needs and expectations. And you do have a choice. You can still present with text, or you can start thinking differently, thinking more visually, and making sure that this will make your message stick out. What I'm showing right now is just to sample a few elements, how you can plan your content, how you can place it on your slides, and think less is more. Less content on a slide will just help people understand more, and it will help you practice your presentation beforehand. So I hope that will help you a little bit. And if you do have any questions, please feel free, go on my website and register for a 30-minute consultation. It's totally free, and sometimes it can help you grasp a few ideas. And I will be glad to give you my take on your next presentation. So thank you for listening, and please put those ideas in place for your next conference.